and welcome to Sansad TV. I'm Teena. Indians living overseas, the Pravasi Bhartiyas, are brand ambassadors of India on foreign soil. As India embarks on its journey of Amrit Kaal, setting ambitious goals for the next 25 years, envisioning a transformation from being a developing to a developed nation, the Pravasi Bhartiya community has a significant role to play in India's growth story and also in further elevating the country's role at global levels. That's the message and hope Prime Minister Narendra Modi spelled out at the 17th Pravasi Bhartiya Divas Convention. Held in Indore, Madhya Pradesh from the 8th to 10th of January, the event saw the participation of over 3,500 members of the Indian diaspora from nearly 70 countries. The theme this year was Diaspora, Reliable Partners for India's Progress in Amrit Kaal. Now, with the Indian diaspora being the largest and the most vibrant in the world, what significant role can they play in India's emergence as a global leader? As Rashtraduts of India, how can they strengthen India's unique global vision? That's what we'll try and understand today on this edition of the Global Debate. I'm delighted to welcome on the broadcast today four eminent Pravasi Bhartiyas who've achieved tremendous success in their respective fields, not just making India and the Indians proud, but also contributing in India's growth story. We'll hear from them about their experiences, also try and understand from them the increasing role of the Indian diaspora in strengthening India's role and position in the global space. Pleased to have on the program Dr. Archana Sharma. She's a senior staff scientist, CERN Laboratory, Geneva, Switzerland. She's been conferred with the Pravasi Bhartiya Samman Award 2023. Dr. Sharma, thank you for your time. Welcome to Sansad TV. Ms. Sheba Nandkeolyar, she's founder and CEO, MultiConnexions Group and President IAA Australia. She was a keynote speaker at the Pravasi Bhartiya Divas Convention this year and chair for Women Business Chapter of Australia. Ms. Sheba, delighted to have you on the program. Professor Rajagopal, Department of Marketing, Management, Innovation and Entrepreneurship, the EGADE Business School of Monterrey Institute of Technology and Higher Education, Mexico City. He too has been honored with the Pravasi Bhartiya Samman Award this year. Professor, glad to have you on the program today. And Dr. Sanjeev Mehta, Professor of Economics, Royal Thimphu College, Bhutan. He is a Pravasi Bhartiya Samman Awardee 2023 as well. Dr. Mehta, glad to have you on the program. Welcome to this edition of the Global Debate.
Thank you and namaskar to everyone.
It's my absolute privilege today to share the screen with such an illustrious panel. Let me begin the program today with you, Dr. Sharma. And before we delve deeper into understanding the important role of the Indian diaspora in India's milestone journey so far and the ambitious goals that we have set for ourselves in the next 25 years, let me first ask you about your experience of the Pravasi Bhartiya Divas Convention this year. What, according to you, made the event this year unique and significant?
Thank you very much for inviting me here, first of all. And this event was simply incredible. The very heartwarming welcome that we received, not only from the people of Indore, but from the top team, the top leadership team of the country, which is setting direction towards Amrit Kaal. And this was extremely humbling and such a privilege to be there. We heard Honorable Prime Minister Modi. We heard Honorable Foreign Minister Jaishankarji. We heard the President herself. We heard the Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh. And the whole team was there to welcome us in open arms, just like, coming into the fold of the family. So indeed, it was a very, very warm experience this year at the Pravasi Bhartiya Divas.
Ms. Sheba, let me come to you. What are the important takeaways for you from the event this year? You were one of the keynote speakers talking about the role of the Indian diaspora in making India Atmanirbhar. So we'll get to that in just a bit, but how was your interaction with the Prime Minister and the other dignitaries who spoke about the eminent role, the significant role of the Indian diaspora in India's progress? Ms. Sheba Nandkeolyar, if I'm audible to you?
Sure. My experience was absolutely amazing. Thank you for giving me the privilege and the honor to be able to share my perspectives today. I found the PBD to be an absolutely amazing platform to really develop the people-to-people links that we have been talking about. but in a really grand mega scale, in a global scale. I think that's what really touched me about the PBD. The hospitality, the global speakers and their perspectives, tapping on the best practices, sharing those insights. I think it was very enlightening experience. Seeing Madhya Pradesh, the chief minister, his team, their hospitality was absolutely mind-blowing. Just to come back to my interaction with Prime Minister Modi as well as Foreign Affairs Minister, I sat on the panel with the Education Minister, has also had some extensive discussions with Health Minister, fortunately was sitting at a luncheon next to me. Was really, really eye-opening in the way India is actually progressing. Very open, very flexible, very ready to partner, and absolutely full of youthful dynamism. That's what I would say. So that's exactly what my feeling was. I was extremely impressed with the Foreign Affairs Minister who, he had a dinner for us, after which he went and met pretty much most of the delegates and the speakers and actually interacted quite closely with them. From my perspective, being from Australia, I was also a former national chair of the Australia-India Business Council and worked quite closely with both sides of the government on the ECTA and the free trade agreement, which is now going to come by in the next few months. I think I found a lot of positive vibe about wanting to do more and wanting to do more with Australia from where I am. Right. So overall, excellent interaction. I mean, I couldn't have expected any better.
Dr. Rajagopal, coming to you to understand your perspective, we've spoken about the experiences from two panelists. Now coming to the important aspect of the hope and expectations that India now has from the Indian diaspora, as someone who's contributing and taking with him the Indian values of contributing towards the betterment of society. We talk about Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, so we work towards the welfare of the society we live in. And that's precisely what you and Dr. Mehta are doing, contributing towards a better education of the country that you're living in, for which you've been awarded as well. But, as someone who's spent so much time away from the motherland in a different country, how do you see the world view changing towards India? Because Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is something that we have been propagating since decades, but it's suddenly that the world has begun to take note of us, begun to take India seriously. So what is the kind of difference that you see in the world vision towards our country?
Thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk about the India's image across the countries in the world. So one very important point, what I would like to mention here is that whatever the strategies have been adapted by India for the development, and particularly in agriculture and in health sector and in entrepreneurship, have become very iconic. And most of the countries, particularly in Latin America and North America, they try to adapt what India has said and what India has been experienced. So one of the very important point, what comes on the platform, global platform, is the knowing, doing, and being. So the thing is that when we talk about the knowing, doing, and being, so every country wants to know about the India, and then you see they would like to adapt to see how India is really performing and what exactly is the strategies of India and how there is a connectivity, a global connectivity has been established, and the being is that they would like to live on the lines of the country. Now take an example of several factors like about the renewable energy. If I talk about this in the area of sustainability, like the Urja Gram experiment in India has one of the very significant landmarks in this. Then you see every country, particularly in the Latin America and North America, they would like to adapt to that and say that, see, every village is having, and every rural destination as having the renewable energy. So these are a couple of things that is where the India really makes a very big impact and image together. So this is an intellectual transformation, this is an applied transformation, and this is the academic transformation from the east to west, and that's the way we are connected, and you see India is leading that particular perspective.
Right. Dr. Mehta, you know, what Professor Rajagopal suggests is clearly what we are witnessing. So a rapid pace of transformation, which is inclusive, which is sustainable, and which wants to take everyone along, not just within India, the neighboring countries and the world. So, you know, the Prime Minister just convened a Voice of Global South Summit wherein he spoke about lots of issues on which we can share our best practices with countries of the Global South, largely all developing countries who are dependent on the developed world. So that's a unique initiative that India has taken and which is being appreciated a lot. But the fact is, coming to the role of the Indian diaspora, because every Indian who goes outside the country carries a bit of India and Indian ethics and values with him or herself. What is the kind of role that you see the Indian diaspora having played over decades in enhancing India's image as well as credibility? Dr. Mehta.
Okay. First of all, I would like to basically thank the Sansad TV for including me in the discussion. It's a great opportunity to express opinion and actually provide the views on this important topic. As far as my experience is concerned from the PBD convention this year, it was extremely enriching for the purpose which is already discussed by all other participants. One different thing I would like to raise is the opportunity to meet diaspora from different countries, and which allows the possibilities for collaboration in a synergetic way to achieve the objectives of Atmanirbhar Bharat, and obviously in the Amrit Kaal period. So this has given the opportunity to interact and collaborate with the other diaspora in the different countries during the Pravasi Bhartiya Convention. As far as the concept of what is the responsibilities of the Pravasi Bhartiya in different countries, I think they carry immense responsibility to project India's image in a right manner, and basically linking it to the Indian root of Indian culture and spirituality, which is I think the main theme with which the whole Amrit Kaal is set up. Amrit Kaal basically finds its origin from the Vedic periods, and this talks about that we have to make effort to achieve these goals.
Absolutely.
And what kind of effort that we have to make is we have to first project India in a right perspective. And that can be done only when we, from our work and the way we deliver things, I think we reflect the values which define Indianness. If we are able to live up to that definition, probably we are able to communicate well to the audience what India is about. India is about hardworking people. India is about the people who have work ethics. India is about the people who work for not only for their self-interest, but they work for the interest of all. I think this is what the globalization, we are talking about, you talked about the Vasudev Kutumbakam. I think that's what the difference is. It's not the globalization of the past where it was unequal, but now we want a globalization where the countries participate and collaborate for collective growth. So I think that is different. So the message should go to the host countries is that this kind of collaboration with India is going to be beneficial for both the parties. And this would result into significant gain in terms of people-to-people connection between the countries. So It should not be government to government. It should be between people to people. And that can happen only when we are able to establish what India is and connect to the people of our host countries.
That's an important point that you've raised. And taking on from that, I'll come back to Ms. Sheba Nandkeolyar and understand from her, the fact that the Prime Minister also keeps talking about India's advantage today being its youth. So this demography...
Can't hear you.
Am I audible to you now? Is the audio better?
We can't hear you.
Ms. Sheba, can you hear me now?
Did you hear me?
We heard you.
But we can't hear.
Can you hear me now? Is it better?
Yes.
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay. So, taking on from what Dr. Mehta was saying, the fact that India today has the advantage of demographic dividend, our biggest strength today, and because of which we are able to witness this a rapid transformation is the young India, which is yearning for the change, Ms. Sheba. So in that aspect, there is no match to the skill, the hard work, and of course, the credibility of the Indians, as Dr. Mehta was suggesting. So Indians today are distributed all over the globe, and we keep hearing of the positive stories. For example, sitting right here in front of me, the fact that you hold positions of influence, you have a credibility of yourself, and you carry the credibility of the country along. But now the young India needs some kind of assistance, some kind of hand-holding from your side. So to capitalize and harness the full potential of young India, what is the role that Indian diaspora can play, especially people like you who hold positions of influence?
Thank you. I think the Indian diaspora is going to play a very important role in this Amrit Kaal, and one of which is really how to ensure that the Indian youth, which is today a demographic advantage, continues to remain a demographic advantage. Because if we are not able to, ensure that we are able to engage the youth, have them gainfully employed, or ensure that the aspirations are met, it can quite easily take a U-turn and it can become a demographic disadvantage. So this is where I do believe that global diaspora members, and especially members who are as I always say, if you're sitting on boards or in positions of influence, we should be able to really see how is it that we can fast track and partner with India so that the youth benefit. Now, this can happen in very many ways. Now, me coming from the business world, I would say one of the things that I've been doing a lot is looking at how we can do partnerships in the startup industry. We know that India is now gradually, I did my MBA, and when I did my MBA, I remember the first thing, and this is years and years, decades ago, the first thing that people wanted to do was join a corporate job. Today, when I go back to the institutes and speak, and I ask the same question, what do you want to do? And they said, we want to be a founder of a startup. So see how the Indian youth and their mindset have changed.
Yeah.
Now that they're so open to doing business and startups and contributing to the economy of the country, we from across the globe can actually help in partnering with them, ensuring that we get more collaborations. Outside of that, also, I think I did give an suggestion to Minister Pradhan that just like you have Invest India, you have Niti Aayog, I would love to see something called Opportunity India. And can we then have that completely youth focused in which we can then align and see what are the critical skill shortages in different countries and then align it with what India can provide and really see how we can even make some global mobility of the Indian workforce happen outside of the business.
Certainly.
So a lot of partnerships. Over to you.
Dr. Sharma, another thrust of this government has been, and which has been an important lesson that the COVID pandemic taught us, is the focus on research and innovation. So towards that aspect, the intent is there to an extent, there is capital also, but the fact is we also would like some kind of cooperation, some kind of help from the Indians who are living abroad, who have the experience and the expertise. So towards strengthening India's research and innovation ecosystem, how can the overseas Indians, the Indian diaspora, contribute in a bigger way?
Thank you for the question. I think it is extremely important and also much appreciated that the diaspora of 32 million outside the country is a very valuable resource. The scientists and technologists all over the world from India working at key positions in large organizations are really making their mark, which has been actually reflected in several of the prizes that have been given to many of the diaspora people, not only in India, but also internationally. So NRIs are really instrumental to bringing knowledge, the knowledge center-based economy in the country. And as you rightly know about the software giants in the world, how they have leveraged the knowledge from their technologies into having back offices in India, which then has also brought the Californian culture into India about startups. So this is incredible. And also we heard at the convention that Bangalore is really having the largest density of startups based on technologies in India. Now, of course, the R&D accomplishments are not enough. They have to convert into injection into society, not only the economy, but also in terms of infrastructure. So we need to improve the infrastructure. We need to improve the policies. We need to improve the diplomacy around the science. So here again, the diaspora can play a very big role simply because they would inject into the science, technology, and innovation policy of India. They represent somehow the direction in which the world is picking up on large collaborations. Let's take an example of the discovery of the Higgs boson here at CERN. And you know that 20 years before, the World Wide Web was born at CERN, which is why this whole technological explosion of information has happened. And India got the edge for the reason that of course, we are post-colonial country. However, English is an advantage as well. So that gave us an edge everywhere. And then, of course, our culture that teaches us a lot of resilience and endurance that comes together. That gives us certain skills that are very valuable. And of course, bring in the gold standards, bring in the best practices, the best infrastructure can be made in our country, and the youth can be dynamized into, let's not call it leapfrogging. It's really a giant leap that can move exponentially our country's progress and accelerate the science, technology, and innovation in our country.
You're right, Dr. Sharma, and clearly that can happen only with constant engagements between the country, between the government here and the Indian diaspora who are contributing majorly. Professor Rajagopal, the fact is that the Pravasi Bhartiya Divas is one of the largest congregations of the Indian diaspora who are scattered all across the world. Apart from the strength that it adds to the people-to-people connect, another important aspect is that is it enough? The question is it enough? Is such a kind of engagement enough, or should we be engaging more rigorously in other areas to get the best out of the Indians who are living overseas, from their experience, from their practices? Are we doing enough? Is there scope for more? What do you think? Professor Aruna.
I think learning is a continuous way to live. So the thing is that we cannot put an end, or we cannot limit that, you see, well, whatever we have done is enough. But you see, obviously, we have to look for more. And particularly when I take the clues from Shiva and Dr. Archana, then I would like to say here that, you see, when we are talking about the innovation, then particularly we have to look at the innovation at the grassroots, because we want to see that, you see, India is growing in a holistic way. And when we talk about the holistic approach in innovation and technology, we have to first ensure that, we see, whatever happens at the grassroots and whatever ideas are culminating at the grassroots, obviously they need to be nurtured. And for that, we need to first give a very big impetus for the commercialization of innovation, and which can be done by the diaspora of NRIs who are in different locations and different destinations. And perhaps, you see, they can give a good knowledge-intensive industrial support to the entrepreneurs. And so this is a continuous process. So in this, one of the very important points I would like to talk here about, and that is about the reverse innovation. When we talk about the reverse innovation, that means, you see, whatever innovation is happening at the grassroots should be recognized by the upstream business and or upstream market. So the multinational companies must look into the grassroots at India and see well, this is one of the best innovation that has happened in the niche, and we would like to take it to the global platform.
Right.
So there's a continuous process, and always interactions helps, and always this kind of events certainly support most of the entrepreneurs.
Right. Dr. Mehta, you spoke about setting the right narrative. You know, the fact is that who better than the Indian diaspora? They are the biggest drivers of India's soft power. This is something that we want to leverage across the world. But how do we set the right narrative? How do we ensure that the Indians living abroad are educating the residents of the country that they are living in about the progress that India is making, about the milestone journeys that we have covered, and about the transformation that we are witnessing? So in this uncertain world today, World Bank acknowledges, the IMF acknowledges that India is the only bright spot. So while all other economies are struggling to recover from the impact of the COVID pandemic, the Ukraine-Russia war, India is the only economy which has not just recovered much faster than anticipated, but also looks on a steady path. So that growth momentum looks to be in a fairly good situation. But all of this needs to be, capitalized in a manner which sends out a positive message. So how do we ensure that that kind of narrative is set out in a positive way? Dr. Mehta?
It's a very difficult issue. And let me tell you, actually, when I can tell from my own experience in Bhutan, since I have an advantage of being an economist and as well as write to the newspaper as columnist, so I generally use this opportunity to propagate India's opportunities that India offers to the countries like Bhutan and also the other countries in multiple ways. And the assistance and the grants that is, and basically Bhutan depends on Indian assistance and grants. But the role which I think that we should play is that how this grant and assistance is looked by the people. And we should provide a right narrative to this grant. It is not like big brother attitude, which generally people define.
Yes.
And how it should be viewed, I think that depends a lot upon the academician as well as other technocrats that are living in different countries, how they represent this particular assertion or this particular basically grant support that India provides to these countries. As well as in different ways, when I look into that, we are not able to propagate what we are doing effectively as compared to other countries. I can compare with the assistance, the support that the government of Japan provides or European Union they provide. They give $1, but they propagate much more. India gives $100, but propagate less. And that is the reason I think our embassies, actually the embassies and our basically the government bureaucrats are not, basically they don't want to propagate this. So the burden falls on us how we do that. And that also I've done, basically, I can tell from my own perspective. I've written a book on the Bhutanese economy. And
and we hope that in the times to come, with the kind of progress that we're making, Dr. Mehta, more and more Indians living abroad will actually talk positive about the country and help in building a credible and positive image of the country. Before I wind up, Ms. Shiba, I'll come back to you. This is one last question. And since we've spoken about the experience, you were all in Indore. Did you enjoy Indori food there or not? Because the city is known for its culinary variety. Did you enjoy the Indori culinary variety there or not?
Oh my God, you've asked me my favorite question. Can I? And I'm sure it's a favorite question with all four of us here.
Yes.
Don't think we realized what amazing cuisine existed in Indore. We never realized how beautiful the Indori people are, their hospitality, their friendliness, their inclusiveness. The cuisine, especially the vegetarian cuisine, just blew me over. And can I tell you, I had a very tight program, and but I still decided to go, and our Chief Minister of MP said, you must visit Chappan Dukan. So I did at 11 p.m. at night, and it was buzzing. And it was just amazing to see the variety of cuisine. And then I was told that apparently you need to go to Saf Sarapan market to have a look at the desserts, and they were like just too much. It's an amazing, beautiful experience which will remain with me forever. But more importantly, I'm definitely going to make sure that a lot of Australians visit MP and visit the hospitality and try the cuisine and the cultural experience.
Really glad to hear that, you all had a good time, and we expect you to keep coming back every year, and more importantly, keep contributing towards India's growth story. Time allows me to take up only that much on the program today. It's been a delight to speak to all four of you about your experiences, about your contributions, about your thoughts, how the Indian diaspora can play an increasingly important role in India's progress, in India's transformation in the next 25 years. So that having been said, I'll have to wrap up. Thank you very much once again for joining us on the program. And thank you very much, viewers, to you as well for your time. I'll see you same time next week. Take good care of yourselves. Keep watching Sansad TV.